Welcome to Viscount Leisure. My name's Charles and I'm going to take you on a quick tutorial video around this Wanderer 19/4 TB that we've got, just so we understand the basics of how everything operates, what we need to do when we get to site, get water in the van, get our heating on, etc, etc. First off, when we get to site, first thing you want to do, make sure you're nice and level. Right, that's quite important, A, for your comfort, B, to make sure everything works properly in the van. The way we level is we use our jockey wheel on the front here, okay, and we wind up and we wind down to level, to get off, lower or raise the front of our caravan. Okay, I would have a spirit level or something on the A-frame or inside the van and make sure we're nice and level front to back. If you're not level side to side, you will need to have some kind of leveling wedge to put in underneath one of the wheels and drive the caravan up onto one of those wedges just to raise or lower one side of the caravan. So once we're down, we then want to put our steadies down. You can see we've got these on each corner. There's a winding handle in the locker which we can wind up and down through here. Okay, these are just steadies, they're not leveling steadies, so just make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on them and we're not trying to level the caravan on them. Level on the jockey wheel, then put our steadies down, and that will stop the caravan bouncing around when we are inside. Just going around the outside of the caravan, so we see some of the features we've got. External gas barbecue point is here, so we can run our gas barbecue outside without having to remove one of our gas bottles. The bayonet fitting that goes in the end when we take the red cap off, you will find in your book pack inside the van. External 240 volt socket on the outside, which we can use when we are plugged into mains to run an extension lead or something out into our awning or outside of our van, should we wish to do so. Coming on to our hitch head round here, okay, so we'll do a full hitch up with you when you pick your van up, but just to run through a couple of bits, we've got a, this is one of our hitch locks on here, so this is won't be with the van. There is a hitch lock in the front locker though. This is an Alco stabilising hitch head, so you do need an Alco compatible tow ball. If you need any help with that, just ask. It's a slightly different spacing to a standard tow ball. If you have an existing tow ball, make sure there's no grease on it. So if you have greased it up before, that needs to be completely off. Use some brake cleaner or something like that, because the friction pads in that stabilising hitch head do not like grease on them, and it will not do the job if that is the case. That being said as well, if it's a brand new tow bar, it needs to make sure that the paint on the top of the ball is completely sanded off, so we're down to bare metal. Again, for the same reason, we need something for those friction pads to grip onto, and it doesn't like a smooth, shiny surface. Jockey wheel, as we've talked about, 13 pin electrics we're running on the van here, and this is our handbrake up at the moment, obviously push down to release. We also got ATC on this van as well, so Alco trailer control, which is a electronic braking system, which we can is a last resort really, but it can independently brake each individual wheel to get the caravan back into check if it feels itself getting out of kilter. In our gas locker here, okay, when we're travelling, we must make sure our gas bottles are strapped in and also turned off. Very, very important, just for safety. When we get to site, you want to make sure you're obviously turning your gas bottle on. The way we do that is there's just a valve on the top, okay, so we just turn that all the way around. We are running propane in here, hence why we've got a propane hose on it, or we call our pigtail, going into the side of the van here. This is on a hand tight wheel, so there's only for any spanners. Goes in on an opposite threads that you would normally expect. Okay, screw that in up nice and tight, and then turn our bottle on, and we're ready to send gas through our gas hose here, through our bulkhead regulator up here, which turns it into the working gas pressure for the van, and through to our appliances. In here you've got a hitch cover. We've also got our waste hose, which you can cut down where our waste master will be. We've also got a wheel lock in there as well. Okay, going down the side of the van here, this is our boiler flue. Okay, so don't cover that up. When we're running the boiler, you'll feel warm air coming out of that. Okay, so just don't cover that up. Fresh water goes in here, so when you get to site, you'll fill up your Aquaroll. You'll need one of those, wheel it over to your van, and then we're going to put our water pump, which you'll find in your front locker. We put it into the barrel first and then into the side of the van, making sure it's clipped in nice and tightly into place. We're then ready to start pumping water into the van, but we'll do that when we're inside. We then have our power, so two types of power on the van. We've also got 12 volt coming from a battery, so you will need a battery for the van, and also you will need a mains lead to get your 240 volt power going in, and that is going into here. With our mains leads, if they are on a reel, make sure that you take them off the reel so they're all flaked out, because they do draw a lot of current and do get very, very hot indeed. Right, These two lockers here are to do with our toilet. Flush tank is up here, so this is where we put our flush water for our toilets. The reason we have a separate one is we don't want to be putting chemicals in our fresh water. So water goes in here with some pink or green chemical into there. That will help keep everything lubricated inside the toilet system and also keep things smelling nice as well. The drain for that is just here, as you can see. So whenever we're finished with the van, make sure we're not leaving any water in it, and that's how we drain our flush tank. We then, if we need to empty our toilet, which is indicated on the toilet itself with an LED light, we then remove our toilet cassette. Really simple, pull the whole thing out. It's on wheels, as you can see, and it has an extendable handle so we can wheel it to our dedicated chemical disposal point on site. We then pull this open like so, take the cap off the end, and we have an orange button here. Pressing that orange button releases all the air pressure inside the unit, makes it nice and easy for when we're emptying it out. Okay, once that's emptied out, give it a rinse out, empty it out again, and then you need to reprime this with some chemical. Either green or blue goes into here. Depending on what chemical you're using, the instructions will be on that packet or that bottle to let you know how much to put in. That then breaks everything down inside the unit and makes things smell nicer as well. Quite simply slides back in and clips back into place. Not forgetting you'll need a number plate, of course, for the car that you're towing with. And we've also got a sorry, my camera doing something a bit mad there. We've also got some space underneath our bed here, so this is how we get access to underneath our bed from the outside. And of course, motor mover on there as well, but we'll show you how that operates when you pick the van up. These are our fridge vents. So the fridge uses heat to cool, so it pulls in cold air and you'll feel hot air coming out from the top. I can feel that. I've had the fridge running for a couple of days just to make sure everything is doing as it should do. Right, in we go. Nice and warm in here. As I say, we've been running the van for a couple of days as we do to make sure everything's doing what it should do and for over a period of time. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to sort of, obviously I've got this van already run up, but we'll go through the process of what we would do if we just got into the van. All right, so first thing we're going to do is make sure everything is shut water-wise. So we're going to come and find our drain valves. We've got two on this one for the hot leg, one for the cold leg, and what we would do, you would find them in the upwards position like that. Come in and flip them down so they're both down in that position there. That way when we start pumping water through our water pump just here, it won't just drop down to the ground, it will find its way to our boiler and also to our taps. We're then going to come and close all of our taps because you will have left those open, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but it's just for a safety precaution really. So we're going to close all of those. There we go. We can then start turning things on. So we're going to come to our main panel up here. Master switch just here. Okay, so we turn that on. This one here will do all of our lights in the van, as you can see. So if we're going out for the day, don't want to find all the individual light switch, we can do it all in one go. Awning light outside, so that one is that one. Then this one here is our water pump, so we need to turn that one on. Okay, because we want to start pulling water through the van. This one here will just test our leisure battery, just there. Right, once we've done that, we then want to start to fill our boiler up because that will be empty. All right, that'll just be full of air when we first get to our van, and then make sure we've got water to the taps. First thing we do is come to the tap, turn it over to the hot side of it and turn it on. You can see I've got water running already, but what you will get is some gurgling, lots of coughing, spluttering while it pulls water from our aqua roll, fills up our boiler, moves itself back over to the tap. So we need to replace all that air with the water. So it will take a bit of time, coughing, spluttering, gurgling. Eventually it will spurt into life like so. Okay, and then we're going to turn it over to the cold side, do exactly the same. Again, a bit of coughing and spluttering, not as much as we would get with the hot because it's coming straight, it's not going through the boiler, it's coming straight to the tap. All right, do that in here, do it in your bathroom, with your shower as well. Even if you don't intend using the shower, I would suggest priming it because it gets all the air out of the system and the system will work better for it. Right. Then we want to start heating that water up in the boiler and potentially putting our heating on in the van. So what we do is come over to our Truma panel here. All right, so this controls our heating and hot water. To turn it on, we just hold the middle button down here. So this is a jog wheel and also a button. So we just turn that on. Okay, and then this tells us that we're plugged into mains. Got a little picture of a mains plug there. It's telling me my heating's on, my hot water's on. It's telling me I'm using 2 kilowatts of electric and that my fan is also on eco mode as well. So to start controlling stuff, what we do is we press OK, and then you can see we've got a thermometer inside a van, press OK again, and then we can change the temperature from 0, obviously if it was the summer, or off I should say, all the way up to 30 degrees. All right, so you've got quite a range of temperature in here, and as I say, it's cold outside today, but it's here at 20 degrees. It is absolutely lovely in here. Then we want to talk about hot water. All right, so we're going to move the jog wheel along to this thermometer in some water, press OK. Okay, so I've got some options here. I can turn it off. I can have it on eco, which will heat it up to about 40 degrees. I can have it on hot, which will heat it, I think it's about 60 degrees. And I can have it on boost. What boost does is prioritize your hot water over your heating system. So if you're going to have a couple of back-to-back showers, or you want to heat the water up really, really quickly, select boost. And what it will do, as I say, is for about 15 minutes, it will prioritize your hot water. All right, simple as that. And then it will revert back to the previous setting. All right. We then want to select what power we're using. Now, that depends on whether we're plugged into mains or if it's in the middle of a field somewhere. We're not plugged into mains. I am here, so as you can see, I've got it running. I've got it running on electric too. So that's 2 kilowatts of electric power powering my boiler. I can also run that on electric 1, which is 1 kilowatt. So that would be depending on what else I'm using in the van and also what power I've got access to on site. So as an example, if I was having my boiler on 2 kilowatts, I was running my microwave, I was running my fridge, and then I put the kettle on, and I keep tripping my trip switches, which are just down here, and we'll have a look at those in a minute. Okay, then we know we're trying to draw too much current. All right, so what we want to do is come and select a lower kilowattage here, down to electric 1, and I may well be able to use some more stuff in the van. Some sites have more power than others, and you'll find you'll need to adjust it on some and not on others. That being said, if we're on a site where we don't have mains electric, we can run our heating purely on the gas. So let's put it over to gas, press OK. That will light the boiler on gas. Obviously, as long as we've turned our bottle on, and of course we've got enough gas in that bottle to do the job that we need it to do. So just bear that in mind as well. I would suggest if you're going away for a week or so in the winter, you're going to need a couple of gas bottles just to make sure you don't run out. All right. So, but I know here that I'm more on electric. I can also run it with a mixture of the two. So 1 kilowatt of electric and gas, or 2 kilowatts of electric and gas. I suppose the reason for that, if it was really cold outside, you wanted to heat the van up really, really quickly, you could do so. Put it on that setting, and then once you're up to temperature, select it just on electrics on its own. All right. Then I've got my fan speed, which is this one here. So I'm going to go over to fan. I can either have it on eco or high. Obviously, the higher the fan's running, the slightly noisier it is. So you might use eco at night, or you know, what you'll figure it out. But that's the basis between them, is your fan speed. All right. There are lots of other settings we can go to. We can set timers and priorities and all sorts of things. And I'm not going to go into that now. In your top drawer, just there, is your book pack. There'll be an instruction manual in there. Oh, some YouTube videos you can look at as well. But the main thing is, what we want to know is temperature in the van. What is it? Is our hot water on, off, or on boost? What power are we using? Gas, electric, or a mixture of the both? And if we are using electric, how many kilowatts are we using? And then we've also got our fan speed as well. All right. So it's really quite simple. Once you get used to it, you've used it once or twice, it kind of becomes second nature anyway. All right. What we'll have a quick look now is our fuse box down here. Okay, so a couple of things to talk about. Obviously, we've got 2 types of power coming in. 12 volt coming from our battery. That is powering things like our lights, our water pump, our fridge panel, and stuff like that. All right, so all the fuses you can see down here, and they're all labelled as to what they do. So this is where you would come to change a fuse if you need to. When we're plugged into mains, this will look a bit similar to what we have at home. Okay, so this is our trip switches. Again, tells you exactly what they do. So if something trips out, this is where you would come to resurrect them. This one here is what we're going to talk about now. This is our main RCD coming into the van. So if you're plugging in on a site, you're struggling to get mains power into your van, the likelihood is there's probably something wrong with the post that you're plugged into, because they also have RCDs on them as well. So the way we test that is we've got a little blue button here with a T on it. If you press that and this trips out, that tells us we've got power coming to the unit, so everything is fine outside. But if I press that and nothing happens and it stays in the upwards position, that tells me that there's no mains power coming in, so I need to go and investigate further outside. Either my mains lead's not plugged in properly, my main lead is faulty, or or there is something wrong with the post that I'm plugged into. All right. So that is just our fuse box there. Okay, we'll just quickly go around everything and make sure we are not missing anything. Light switch dotted all over the place, as you can see. All right, individual light switches for the downlighters are here. Okay, they're just touch sensitive ones. Then got another light switch just hidden underneath there. They do like to hide a light switch. We've got one on the other side as well. Okay, we've got a 240 volt power socket just there, so that means we can plug things into there when we are plugged into our mains. Obviously they won't be active if we're not. We've got a stereo system here which we can turn on and off via the source button here. Okay, you can see we've got speakers either side here as well. We've got aux in, we've got a USB, we've got CD player, and we've also got radio. The way we toggle between those is by pressing the button here. Aux. All right. So I won't teach you how to use a radio, but again there'll be an instruction manual as well. So turning it off is the source button as well. TV aerial in here. Okay. So this is what they call a status directional TV aerial in the downwards position at the moment. When we get to site, we undo the locking nut on here. He says, there we go. And then we push that all the way up, okay, and then we lock that back into place. That's obviously raised the aerial above the van to give us access to a better signal. We've also got this little handle here, so if I turn that, that will change the plane that the aerial sits at on the roof to try and get a better signal if we need to. We've also got our booster box just up in here. The switch for it is just on the top, okay, up there. And we've also got a gain switch here, so we can, I'll just leave that on maximum to be honest with you, put the on-off switch for that. So that's just a booster box to boost your signal. Obviously don't forget, once you have finished and you're going home, make sure your aerial's down, otherwise you'll be taking trees and things out when you're driving along. In terms of windows, they all open in the same way. Yes, they've all got blinds, as you can see, so we can black the cabin out. And if they open, they also have fly screens as well, so we just pull those down from the top. Okay, and we can do a half and half situation, or whatever you want to do. To open the windows, open one. Some of these have little buttons in them, so we press those. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we open the window to the desired openness, if that's the right word. And then tighten these little locking nuts either side, 1 and 2, and that will hold the window open. Okay, we can then undo them when we want to shut, okay, and then close the window up. We can lock the window on a breather setting, all right, so it's sort of slightly open, and do that with all of them to allow some airflow through the van. So if you were popping out to the shop or something, you wanted to allow some airflow through the van in the summer when it was hot, but didn't want to leave the window open, you could do it that way. I would suggest that if you're leaving it for any period of time, make sure they are fully locked, and also when you're travelling as well, make sure they're fully locked as well. So they all work the same way. We do have some windows which don't open, but they of course have blinds but don't have fly screens. Our skylight here does open slightly differently, so we've got, again, these lockers either side, and then let's just put the handle just pulls down and we can push up. There we go. All right, so that lets in quite a bit. We can also have this sort of half open by pushing those on there and locking these into place like that. Again, making sure that we are closing these properly when we are travelling as well. Blinds and fly screens across these as well, as you can see. Right, moving into our kitchen area. Carbon monoxide alarm is there. While we're doing that, also our smoke alarm is just up there. Another 240 volt socket here. We've talked about our sink already. So we've got hot and cold running water on a mixer tap. I say if you've got this on 60 degrees when that is hot water, that is really hot, so do bear that in mind if you've got kids or whatever, that does get very hot indeed. Of course you can mix it with cold, but when it is over on the hot side, scorchio. When you're travelling as well, make sure these are down. Okay, they bounce around a lot, as you can see it says when travelling. Lid must be closed, all right, and the same with our cooker, all right. Again, we'd see these smashed on the floor all the time, so make sure you're doing that. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. No. Right, so we've got 3 gas hob here and an electric hot plate. Hot plate only works when we're plugged into mains. It's a 240 volt one. There's a socket underneath it, so you can't use that if you're not plugged in. But then we do have our 3 gas ones anyway. Not going to particularly use a cooker, but this is our igniter button here. So to light, for instance, the back one there, I would hold that down there and press this. There we go, and that will light. Okay. Be careful when we've been using this and it's hot. We don't put this down until it's cool, otherwise the glass gets very hot and we'll end up burning our hands. Again, when we've got a red light here, it will tell us when our electric hot plate is on. Separate grill, separate oven. Again, light in the same way. You can see that's our grill there, that's our oven. Bear in mind this is a caravan oven, not a domestic oven, so things may take slightly longer to cook than the packet might say, so just keep that in mind. More storage underneath there, and in there as well. You can see your draining board there, you can attach to the side of the sink, and also our gas isolating switches are just there as well. So if you need to isolate any of the appliances, this is what you come to. Right. With our heating system, you can see we've got all these little ducts all over the place, and there's two at the front there as well. They're all over the place. So we can shut these off individually. This is where the warm air comes out of, so we can shut these off. Okay, or we can open them and direct where the air is coming from. Okay, so for instance, if you didn't really want the heating on in here, but you wanted it on in the bathroom, you can shut all the vents. And you'll still get some warmth, don't get me wrong, but it will just direct the air to other ones. Microwave. When you're traveling, again, make sure you take the plate out. You'll find your plate in your book pack in the drawer there, but don't travel with your microwave plate in. Again, we see these smash on the floor. Not only are smash on the floor, but they don't dent worktops as well when they come out. So just bear that in mind. And if I can give you one big advice, that's probably one of them. To turn this microwave on is a bit strange. You have to press the eco button 3 times and that lights it up. But I won't teach you to use a microwave other than that. TV output here, so 12 volt, 240 volt and a TV socket. So we can sit a TV on the side here and watch it from our seating area. We also have a little drawer tucked in there. Then we've got our fridge. Okay, so this is a Thetford 3-way fridge, so it works on mains power when we're plugged in. It will work on gas when we're not, but as long as we've got our gas bottles turned on, and obviously enough of it, as we've discussed. It'll also work on a 12 volt feed from your car as well. So there is a battery setting. That doesn't mean it will run off your leisure battery. That is purely for when you're travelling on the 12 volt from your car. If you are planning on using that feature and you want to make sure you're chilling your fridge down first, it's not powerful enough to chill it down just purely on its own. So you want to chill it down on gas or electric, put your stuff in it, and then switch it over to the battery setting. Okay, on-off button is here, so we turn it on from there, and then this is our panel which we can wake up by pressing the button. You can see says I'm running on mains at the moment, and this is the temperature that I've got my fridge running at. So to change it, I hold the button down till we're flashing, right, and then if I was going to light it on gas, I would move it over to the flame. There we go, just there. Press OK, and then I would select my temperature that I want the fridge to be at. Okay, and press OK. That will then light the fridge on the gas. Okay, until it is ready to go. So same again, if I want to put it back to mains power, I would hold it down, go over to mains power, press OK, set my temperature, press OK, and then it's going to do it on that one as well. Of course, you've got the battery setting in the middle there, you can see as well, so that would be for when you are plugged into mains. All right, so it's simple as that, really. Fridge has been on, it's lovely and cold in there. Freezer box over the top. All right, so you've got lots of space in there anyway, and that locks from just up the top there. Okay, we've got a little concertina curtain here, so we can block off our bedroom area should we wish to. Right, right, going around. Let's just going to open everything and make sure. There's the plug for your microwave sitting in there. Underneath the bed we have access to, it's on gas struts. There are your carpets, and there's your door that we said that you could get to from the outside. The bed's in what I'd call daytime mode at the moment, so it will slide out. Okay, and then we flip this back over to get ourselves a full length bed. It just means during the day it's easier to walk around, and at night you get a bigger bed. Again, individual reading lights which are controlled there, and also our light switches are just underneath there as well. And then going into our toilet, light switch as we go in. Right, here's our toilet. So we talked about that earlier. Our flush tank situated in the top just here, and our cassette underneath just there. So we use the toilet in the normal way. All right, this does spin a bit as well. Well, it does spin a lot, so depending on how long your legs are. So use the toilet in the normal way. We then flush the toilet by pressing the flush button at the top here. So we have an electric flush. That will then pump some water into it here, okay, either pink or green fluid, as you can see, just a bit's come out there. And then to open the gate, we push this all the way over to one side. That opens the gate, everything drops down into the toilet, okay, and then we close that, making sure this is pushed all the way across is very important, okay, otherwise we won't create a seal into here. So that's how we work that one. Here's our indicator light, so when that illuminates, that tells us it's time to change our cassette or empty our cassette. Don't ignore that or you end up with a bit of a mess. And then we have our shower in there and our sink. All right, again, all pretty self-explanatory stuff. We do have a sliding door going into our bathroom here. Again, when traveling, you want to make sure everything's as secure as possible, so make sure that that is over the top of it, otherwise this will be bouncing, opening, closing, and coming off its rails and damage itself. All right, so the trick is to make sure everything is properly secure before you travel. Got another light switch down the bottom here, and also another plug socket and TV point, so we can have a TV just here in the bedroom as well. Okay, that's the basics of it. So let's do sort of the reverse of everything now. We've been on holiday, we've had a nice time. Let's now get our van ready for the road. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to turn off my main, my trimmer panel. I'm going to turn that off before I turn off my main panel, just better to do it that way round. Then I'm going to come in here, turn everything off on here, water pump, master switch. Right. Then what I'm going to do is start to drain the van of water. So I'm going to come and open my 2 drain valves, 1 and 2. I'm then going to open all of my taps and I'm going to leave them in between hot and cold. The reason I'm going to do that is it allows air to travel through the system. So if you can imagine if we had some freak freezing weather and we still had water trapped in the system, water expands when it freezes. The amount of times we see cracked taps and things like that, and pipes, and then the next time you come to plumb your van up, you end up with a leak or water coming everywhere or a cracked tap. So everything open in between hot and cold, that way even if there is any water in the system, if it expands, it has somewhere to go. I'm going to turn off my fridge by just holding the button down here. You may well be using it along with your car, hence why it doesn't work, doesn't turn off with our main panel like everything else. All right, so you would turn that off, put this on the battery setting when you're plugged into your car, and you can use the 12-volt side of things. Right, that's everything inside. We're then going to pop outside and just disconnect everything else. Make sure everything is secure. We're going to turn off our gas bottle. Make sure it's strapped in. I'll actually remove this one, of course. This is my test bottle. Okay. We're then going to disconnect. You can see all of our water draining out here, look. I'm then going to use the little trigger underneath here to remove my pump. Give it a wiggle, they are quite stiff, but don't be too firm with it or you end up cracking the housing, sorry. Right, out it comes. What you want to be careful of are these black seals around them. Okay, when they go, you won't be able to pump water through, so do look after them. Some people keep these in their sink, in fact, because it just keeps them out of the way of everything else. I'm just going to pop it in the front here just so that we know where it is, but it's just worth thinking about that. We're then going to disconnect our mains, all right. You want to disconnect it from your post first, then from your van, because you don't want to be walking around with a live cable. You're going to then put your Acroll away, and you're going to put your Waste Master away. Your Waste Master would sit here. Okay, you can see these 2 outlets here. If I can get my camera to turn, just here. This is where our waste comes out, and your Waste Master will sit here with some of that grey hose that's in your front locker. And obviously, every time that gets full, you empty that at the service point as well. But that is your drain point there. Okay. Then what we do is make sure everything's secure, put our legs up, hitch up to our car, and away we go. So that is your Wanderer. Hopefully that's made some sense. We are on the phone if you need any help at all. And also you'll have your instruction manuals, of course, as well. So enjoy your van, and we shall look forward to seeing you at collection.